all on your schedule. One that opened doors to some of the most influential CEOs, tech companies, law firms, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. And what if you could earn that degree in as little as 16 months, 100% online? Find out more. Text DRIVE to 79645. Start on the path to earning your MBA or Business Analytics Master's degree online from the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University today. Learn more about the graduate programs from the top-ranked W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University, offered 100% online. Text DRIVE to 79645. That's DRIVE to 79645.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
That's right. Radio is officially great again. Here we are at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I know you wish, as I do, that we were all outside. Perhaps you are outside. If you are, you're fortunate, because we are having a string of ridiculously great days here. And by the way, we deserve it. We had a string of horrible days through the late winter and early fall. Or early spring, late winter, early spring. I guess I'm dyslexic again today, Ann Meyer. Representative Ann Meyer is here, but you know what I'm talking about, man. Is this weather great or what?
This weather is great. It's so nice and cool at night. It's just
it is.
It's a good time to be in Iowa.
Oh, it is. You don't have to run any air conditioning or anything like that. Just I can open up the windows at night, which is something I rarely get to do, mainly because of my sinuses and other things, but in my numerous allergies, but man, it's just the best. It just is. I know Jim golfs. Maybe I asked you this before. I apologize if I have. Do you golf or not?
It's funny you should ask that. I am really not a golfer. I don't own golf clubs. However, Jim asked a couple of our friends asked us to go golfing about 2 or 3 weeks ago at Willow Ridge. On Friday nights, they have a couples best ball dinner for a really good price. So he said it's a best ball. It doesn't matter. You can just hit the ball. Don't worry about it. So actually we golf with Kate Stuckey and her husband Leo, and Kate has clubs, so I used hers. And I'm proud to tell you, we did use my ball one time. But no, I don't typically golf, but I think I see how it can be fun. I tried to do it with my husband years ago when we first moved here and had a little bit of time, but I just think 18 holes was excessive.
You either like golf or you don't.
I apparently I don't.
If you stop and think about the whole idea of sports, it's ridiculous. Anyway, golf, you're chasing this little ball around a big field. And basketball, you're bouncing a ball up and down a court. And football, you're smashing into each other. Baseball, you're trying to hit the ball with the stick. I mean, in the whole concept of sports, if you look at it that way, it's just ridiculous. But I really love it and enjoy it. I love all of it. It's great recreation.
All those other sports, though, I think you can kind of give your body a little bit of benefit. But when you're driving around in a cart, and I think a lot of people drink beer while they're golfing. I'm not positive.
Oh, you think they do?
I think they may.
Have you met Steve Dinklaw?
So, I don't know that that's the most heart healthy sport there is out there.
It's not. But, all things cannot be heart healthy.
Okay.
Sometimes, you just got to go overboard. You just got to do it and have a little fun. It's a great tragedy that anything that tastes good is bad for you. Anything that feels good is somehow bad for you because you're sedentary or some doggone thing. I don't know, on and on and on. But I know you do just have to bust loose every now and then.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Do you bust loose every now and then? No, you just don't look. You just don't look like the busting loose type to me.
I probably have my moments, but no, I'm not
You don't get out.
I'm not out there.
No.
Mm-mm.
That's okay. You and I were at the Farm Bureau thing the other night at the.
We were, and I
Opera House.
completely missed you.
I was trying to get your attention.
Well, shucks. That was a great night. A lot of people showed up. A lot of friends were there. The food was fabulous.
Wasn't it, for that many people that drove down in Litterdale? Litterdale something country store or whatever it was.
Litterdale.
They did a terrific job. That was the most tender roast beef I've ever had.
It really was
for a
good.
town there, for a group that size.
And I will tell you what, anytime you can make a salad using Doritos,
Oh, are you rocking?
I'm down for it.
Are you rocking? Exactly. I asked him when it was taco salad. What was close enough for this town? I'll tell you that.
That was good.
Oh, it was terrific. And the cheesy potatoes were just great.
Yeah.
Talk about something that's not heart healthy, those cheesy potatoes.
Yeah.
They're not heart healthy. But I woofed them down. I did. I just couldn't help it. I woofed them. Ann Meyer is our guest, Representative Ann Meyer. So if you have a question or comment for Representative Meyer, it's cool. 515-955-1400. You just have to pick it up and call. So what are you doing this summer as far as, and I know you're always, I know you're a hardworking person who's involved in her job as state representative all the time. How you do that, I don't know. But, how you stand it all, I don't know. But I do appreciate that. I'm sure most of us do.
This is really, it's been probably the hardest job I've had. I've never been on call. My husband's been on call, in his position, he's been on call for many, many years. And I'm not saying I'm on call, but every day, I mean, I get emails, Facebook messages, text messages.
I was going to say, even Dr. Jim Meyer and all the doctors have times when they're not on call and when they can go relax and have a few beers, have a few drinks, and play golf or whatever they want to do.
I've had a lot of constituent issues come up over the summer. Even this week, I've had several kind of urgent issues that we were able to take care of because we have not only being responsive to these people, but we have a really great staff in Des Moines that they're on the ball. They know their stuff, and they're research people, so they can get the information immediately and get these people connected with the right people and take care of things.
I assume you're talking about constituents with personal problems.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, explain this process then. So you hear from a constituent with a difficult problem.
Right.
And you go where? What do you do?
Well, first of all, it's a lot of listening. So I did have a long call the other day about a very serious issue. A woman was concerned about her daughter on the other side of the state with an ex who might be in some type of danger. I mean, that's something you have to really connect with DHS immediately about.
Mm-hmm.
I have another fella that's contacting me, which I completely agree with. If there's nothing I can do about this right now, but he's complaining that we are spending too much money in lawsuits for people in the public eye that are sexually harass other people. You know what? I've always thought that. I've always thought that the state should not be on the hook for one person's bad behavior. So,
well, they are.
They shouldn't be.
I've been arguing a little bit with our friend Janice Valentine. Of course, she's an attorney. That's her bread and butter, first of all. But I really don't know after the Chris Godfrey lawsuit. I don't believe that Terry Branstad is necessarily anti-gay. He worked with anti-gay groups or anti-gay marriage groups in the early 90s. And certainly the Republican platform called for defending traditional marriage. Is that homophobia? Is that some sort of deep, dark racism that we need to pay for? I don't think so. That's a policy difference. You can call it a moral difference either. But 25 years ago, Chris Godfrey's lawsuit wouldn't have been heard at all. But granted, times have changed. Even Governor Branstad said that on the witness stand. He said, I did these things at the time. The society's view on gay relationships have changed.
Yeah.
I accept that. But that doesn't mean he was harboring anti-gay feelings toward Chris Godfrey. He was responding, and he frankly admitted that he was responding to a couple of wealthy constituents in the meatpacking plant business who didn't like the determinations that Godfrey was making as workforce commissioner. And he asked for his resignation. Godfrey refused, which is his right.
Yep.
And it's also Terry Branstad's right as governor of the state of Iowa to reduce his salary. He did.
Mm-hmm.
Godfrey resigned, went to a better paying job in Washington, D.C. I don't get the homophobia here. I don't get why we have to be on the hook for $6 million in attorney fees and $1.5 million to Godfrey. That's ridiculous.
People can do or they may not do their job correctly. A lot of people, and I'm not talking about him, I'm just saying a lot of people do serve at the pleasure of the governor. And really, the governor does have the right to intervene. Now, I also know that there are at least one fella I know is gay, and he worked with Branstad, and he said there's no way that he shows any bias toward me. So, I mean, you can't blame everything on bias. Sometimes people just are not performing up to par.
Godfrey was a Democratic appointee who probably was, no doubt was, and I believe the evidence showed, was pretty lenient when it came to granting workers disability claims and holding businesses accountable in this regard. I mean, that was just the way he was. They got another person in that job after Godfrey resigned, and I want to make sure everybody knows he resigned. After he resigned, they got another person in there who didn't want to hear it at all. Wallert, I believe her name was. But I just, yeah. Oh, yes, the Republicans are costing us all kinds of money. That's because liberal Democrats in the Trial Lawyers Association are suing the government in Polk County. I don't know if that decision stands up in Woodbury County or in Webster County, but well, that's the world we live in. I hope, and there's been an appeal of Godfrey's lawsuit. I hope it's successful.
I think this fellow was contacting me just about if people in the public eye employed by the state are sexually harassing somebody, not so much.
If they're sexually harassing,
else.
there have been proven cases of sexual harassment. Those meatheads should have been fired, and I guess we're going to have to pay for it.
And that's the thing. That's what he's saying. Maybe they can. We shouldn't be on the hook on that. Maybe they need some type of insurance if they're going to. If maybe everyone in the public eye needs to have some type of insurance that they cover that. So the state won't have to pay for that. I agree that, we pay for a lot of, and we pay for everything, all the state costs, but sometimes you think about the money that could be spent. I was talking with someone this morning about just a $1 million settlement. I mean, think of how many things we could do good with that one-time money.
That's right. Let's go to the phones. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Representative Meyer.
It's called personal liability insurance. It's about $50 a year.
And so that would be very cost-effective, and I completely agree that people should probably pay for that themselves and reduce the cost to the state if they feel if these are people that just can't control themselves for whatever reason.
If they can't control themselves as adults, they have no place in any business, let alone
Correct.
the governors.
That's $1 million policy for a year.
Yeah.
That's
Only
$1 million.
$50.
How do you know these things? Did you feel the need to be protected?
Well, when you own a bunch of property,
Oh, I see.
you better have insurance.
Yeah.
Yes, you should. You definitely should. I mean, lawyers really aren't out there. And I have a lot of lawyers on the show and I love them. They're my personal friends. But lawyers make their money suing people, period, end of story. They don't do it. This is not, people get the wrong idea about attorneys from watching Perry Mason or Law and Order or any of the other shows, but that's not how the real world operates at all.
Well, when you got a liberal on trial with a bunch of liberals in a jury, they're going to go for the liberal.
Well, that's what I was talking about. I don't know if that case holds any traction in Webster County, Woodbury County, Polk County. It does, and the big lesbian suit in the People's Republic of Johnson County. There's no reason they should have won that either. They were openly contemptuous of their superiors. They refused to follow orders, and they got fired, sued for bias, and won $6 million over there as well.
They should all be a change of venue.
Yeah, well, it's like lawsuits in the Monsanto case right now. All the lawsuits that have been successful have been in California. The people who are opposed to Trump and fight through the courts against his actions. They go judge shopping as far away as Hawaii. It's not, I keep working with Ann over here, and I love Ann, but we got to get some kind of control over our judicial system going on here. This is just ridiculous.
That farm guy that writes in that Messenger Extra or whatever it is, that farm paper,
Yeah.
he's got a story in there these last 2 weeks, and he said that lawsuit from Monsanto is all BS.
It is all BS. The World Health Organization even says it's nonsense. A company in France, which doesn't like the United States at all, put forth some information that Roundup, glyphosate changed the face of American agriculture. It changed the face of world agriculture. It has saved millions and millions of lives. Now a group of lawyers in California got together, seized on this French report, and took it to court in front of a jury in California. And all of a sudden now, Roundup causes cancer, and we have to have a multi-billion-dollar payout.
If there was any truth in that, Iowa would be dead. Northern Missouri would be dead.
I'd be dead.
Illinois would be dead.
I'd be dead, and so would you. I've been using Roundup most of my life.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks for your call.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I'm sorry, Ann. That
That's
should have been
okay.
your call, but
No, that's good.
I get wound up every time.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Really and honestly. Representative Ann Meyer is our guest. If you'd like to question Representative Meyer, it's 515-955-1400.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
Yeah, I have been criticized. And well, there's reason to criticize me for not letting my guests talk. I'll do better in the next segment. 3:29 news is next.
Ribbon, Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Do you have questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
Sarcoma. Odds are you've never heard that word before. For the 40 people diagnosed with sarcoma every day, it is a life-changing word because sarcoma is cancer. Through awareness, advocacy, and research, the Sarcoma Foundation of America is bringing hope to the families whose lives have been turned upside down by a cancer they had never heard of until diagnosis. Please join us in the fight to find the cure for sarcoma. For more information on the work of the Sarcoma Foundation of America, go to curesarcoma.org.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KWMT News Update, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa, the state agency director who was dismissed 6 weeks ago says he's taken legal action to clear his name and to send a message to his former employees in the Department of Human Services. Jerry Foxhoven held a news conference yesterday morning.
Initially, I just wanted to move on, just get out and move on. And then I think there was all this innuendo from the governor's office and so forth that made it look like I did something wrong. It goes back to those 4,000 people. They needed to hear from me. I didn't do anything wrong, and that I stood by what I asked them to stand by, which was follow the rules and do the right thing.
Governor Reynolds has said she wanted the agency to move in a different direction. And on Monday, Reynolds said Foxhoven had not raised any concerns about using agency money to continue paying the salary of a member of her staff. Foxhoven says he first tried to speak with the governor.
Several months before this occurred, I sent her, the governor, a text asking to meet with her and talk to her privately and said it could be very short, and I never even got a response to it.
He says he did discuss the matter with the governor's chief of staff shortly before he was terminated.
The bottom line is I had a phone conversation with her, and I made it very clear that I questioned whether it was legal or not.
Foxhoven says the legislature set aside money to pay for a new staff member in the governor's office, and he was concerned he lacked the authority to divert money from DHS operations to continue paying a member of the governor's staff.
If they're saying that they're denying that I told them I had concerns about that and that I was going to the Attorney General's office, then they're not telling the truth.
Fox Oven's lawyer will first file a claim with the Iowa Appeals Board, alleging that his client was retaliated against and forced from his job because he was a whistleblower. His attorney says it's unlikely the state will offer a settlement, and he expects to file a lawsuit against the governor, her chief of staff, her legal counsel, and the state of Iowa in early 2020. Governor Reynolds has said Fox Oven was dismissed for a lot of reasons, and she wants the agency to go in a new direction. Fox Oven, who is an attorney, says he's looking for his own next adventure working for a nonprofit group. The Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program will be having its third annual Teed Off Against Violence golf tournament fundraiser tomorrow at Lakeside Municipal Golf Course here in Fort Dodge. The tournament also will feature a silent auction. It'll have a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Here's Marie Harvey from the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program on the objective of the event.
The whole goal is to raise funds and awareness that benefit the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program. We serve 15 counties in north central Iowa, and so the money that we raise goes back to providing services for survivors that have been affected by homicide or any other violent crime.
For more information or to register, call Marie or Heather at 515-955-5677. That's 515-955-5677. The fifth annual Leapers Legacy Memorial Ride in memory of Jordan Leaper will be tomorrow. Registrations from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Gridiron in Webster City. Kickstands up at 11 a.m. It's $20 for single rider, $30 per couple. Stops will include Webster City, Lehigh, Luther, Ziering, Williams, and Clarion. There'll be silent and live auctions and raffles. All proceeds will go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund. Here's Brian Dayton with the Memorial Ride on Jordan's legacy.
5 years ago, Jordan Leaper was killed in a car accident. We're continuing on his legacy. We're going to end at Fuel in Clarion with food and DJ entertainment. That's where we're going to have a live and silent auction. All the proceeds go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund, and also there's money that's donated to Upper Des Moines for underprivileged youth. Jordan was an employee at Fuller Hall. He loved his job. He's good at it. Always had a smile on his face. If you can't make the ride, at least try and make it to Fuel. It should be about 5:30 when bikes start rolling. Then all the proceeds go to the Memorial Scholarship Fund.
For more information, contact Tara Leaper at 515-408-1814. That's 515-408-1814. For KWMT from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy this afternoon with a high of 80. Winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 59. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 83. Dry with seasonal temps Sunday and Monday and highs in the mid-80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 78.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 6 3/4 cents to end the day at $3.99 1/2. December up 7 cents at $4.09 1/2. March up 7 1/4 to $4.20 1/2. May up 6 3/4 to $4.26 1/2. August soybeans up 3 1/4 at $8.50 1/4. September up 3 cents at $8.55 3/4. November beans up 3 1/4 at $8.68 1/2. January up 3 1/4 cents to $8.82. September wheat up 15 cents at $4.90 3/4. Soybean meal down 80 cents a ton at $2.92.40. August live cattle down 22 cents at $107.65. October down 90 at $107.82. August feeder cattle down 160 at $139.62. September down 330 at $138.22. August lean hogs down 52 cents at $76.27. October down 175 at $65.72. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Tomatoes are the #1 home garden vegetable. What makes them so great? Hi, I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Tomatoes are pretty easy to grow, and there are dozens of new hybrids released every few years. David Trinkline with the University of Missouri says tomatoes are loved for their taste, which is a balance of sugar to acid.
Tomatoes that are very high in acid and low in sugar are quite tart. And while everybody has differences in taste preferences, most don't like that. Conversely, tomatoes that are high in sugar and low in acids are rather bland. They're sweet, but they're bland.
Tomatoes are also good for you.
Tomatoes are extremely high in many essential vitamins as well as minerals. So we know that tomatoes are a good source of vitamin C. They contain certain of the essential minerals.
And tomatoes have an especially healthy plant pigment.
Lycopene is the pigment that makes a red tomato red. And lycopene has been shown to have antioxidant properties, and as such is said to be, quote, heart healthy.
Trinkline says the mistake home gardeners often make with tomatoes is planting them too early in the spring, because tomatoes are a warm season crop. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Ride the bus with the Dart and Midas Transit.
Need to get somewhere in Hamilton, Pocahontas, Calhoun, or Humboldt County this summer? Midas will take you there. Live in Manson and need a ride to the grocery store? Midas will take you there. Live in Webster City and need a ride to the theater? Midas will take you there. Live in Rockwell City and need to get to the clinic? Midas will take you there. Call 800 Bus Ride. Midas, helping you get where you want to go. Your connection to Jefferson Lines.
Before he became your business partner, before you gave him his first bonus, before you put him on the payroll, before he was an unpaid intern, you saved his resume in your Keepers folder. Staples has what your business needs to get you from here to there. And right now, Staples 2-pocket poly folders are just
Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media present our Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride Saturday, August 10th. Be at Fort Dodge Ford between 9 and 10:30 to register. Then it's kickstands up for 150 miles of wide-open fun on the road. Our Hogs for Heroes stops include the Co-op Bar and Grill in Pomeroy, River Valley Winery in Humboldt, Johnny's Bar and Grill in Wesley, the Blue Moose Saloon in Renwick, Ernie's Harley-Davidson in Algona, and Miller's Landing in Humboldt, where you can listen to live music, eat great food, and bid on your favorite items in the silent auction. Entry fee is just $15 a rider or $25 a couple. All proceeds go to the Brushy Creek Honor Flight. Get a free Hogs for Heroes t-shirt while supplies last. Pre-register until August 8th at yourfortdodge.com to reserve your spot and t-shirt. This special event is sponsored in part by the Western Edge in Humboldt, Iowa Outdoor Store, Hardware and Rental, Fort Dodge, Riddle's Jewelry, Fort Dodge, and Zinnel Roofing, Humboldt. Fire up your bike, your car, your truck, even your minivan for the Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride, hosted by Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media. We ride so they can fly.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
It's Friday afternoon. I should be mellow, I guess. Beautiful day. Going to be a great weekend. So I'll play a little Ripple here by Grateful Dead just to show you how mellow I'm going to be. All right, I'm not going to be mellow. All right, this our guest, and I thank her for being here, Representative Ann Meyer. Hi, Ann.
Hi.
All right. So, we had a good first segment, and you don't do town hall meetings like you usually do the summertime, do you?
No, I really don't. I don't have anything to really update anyone on.
But you are going to Badger Fest tomorrow, right?
Yep, Badger
All
Fest
right.
tomorrow. We'll be in the parade tomorrow. Tonight we're going to the Hilltop Festival at Friendship Haven, which raises money for the Good Samaritan Fund. It is always such a fun night. It's always crowded. There's food. There's music tonight. Music tonight is dueling pianos. There's a silent auction. They always have some really good stuff. I always find myself bidding against someone who does not want to lose. So
they probably are thinking the same thing.
I
Who
bet-
is
yeah.
that over there?
I bid them up to the end.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. I think we were talking during the break. I've got I'm serve on several committees. So Medicaid advisory is coming up next week. Medicaid oversight will be coming up in September for me. Commission on Aging, I serve on that. So we actually do have a lot of things that committees that we serve on, boards that we serve on for the state as legislators. So it never really slows down between constituent issues and just the things that we're active in the legislature.
You're loving this, though, aren't you?
I truly am. This is definitely the hardest job I've ever had, but it's the best job I've ever had. I love it, and it is busy. But I knew that when I signed up for it.
But you know things when you sign up for it, but then when you really get into it, you went, wow.
Yeah, and my calendar, I've never had a calendar so full before in my life. I mean, I've always known my days that I work and my days that I was off and a couple appointments here and there, but
sure.
we've got a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, there's a lot of constituent issues coming up. A lot of people want to meet with you about their causes personally. And then, of course, there's always lobbyists that want to meet with you all year round.
Governor Reynolds has dug her heels in on this privatization of Medicaid. Do you agree with that?
I do. Knowing what happened before.
What happened before that we had to change it, do you think?
The pay for or fee for service, it was completely unregulated and couldn't the cost could not be contained. So
fee for service meaning
everything you get, everything you're billed for, they're just paid 100%. And remember, when someone wants to bid a government job, they always want to bid really high because they'll, things are paid for, it seems, at a higher rate, which it should actually be exactly the opposite. We should be trying to save the taxpayers money. So yeah, the MCOs, there obviously everyone knows there's been some transition. And so our new MCO that started July 1st is Iowa Total Care. And I've had calls from several providers, which we've been able to address right away and fix their problems immediately. I've had one call from a patient, a member, in the middle of June. He could not get in touch with his caseworker. The line was disconnected, and that was through United, who left the state, who is leaving Medicaid. And we were able to hook him up with his caseworker already from Iowa Total Care. So again, if anyone's, I always say this, but I really mean it. If anyone has any problems with the Medicaid system, whether you're a provider or a member or patient, please give me a call. I can address your individual specific problems.
Well, I know a provider who had plenty of problems, and he was not quiet about it. And that's Menke, City Councilman Menke. I'm sure you've talked to him by now.
And I have, and he also had some issues when Iowa Total Care first started. He said, we're not in the system yet. I can't take patients. And we addressed that right away. So he and I, we've had probably just 2 conversations about it, but no subsequent problems. And really, I guess I should call back. But, I think he would call me if he was having a problem.
I don't know. Terry can go off and sulk.
No. He wasn't. No, that wasn't it at all. He was telling me exactly what was wrong. And we hopefully
he was
we
telling
got that
me on the air what was wrong.
Yeah.
And I found that, well, frankly, offensive. He shouldn't be having those sorts of problems. And I can't believe I'm standing up for Menke. But
no provider should have those problems.
No, but he was having massive problems. And based on good faith in our government, which wasn't our government wasn't delivering.
And I am glad that he got in touch with me, because I am the person who is going to solve his problems.
And we discussed, or I discussed, maybe not with him, that the state seemed to be trying to discourage people, poor people, from even seeking medical services.
No, that's not true. We are not discouraging
I hope not,
anyone.
because that's
Absolutely
low down.
not.
That's a low down. There is a feeling out in Republican land that we're too generous with certain kinds of benefits. But when it comes to health care, we should at least provide an avenue so people who are sick can be treated.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And that's what, that's why United left, is because they wanted to cut the cost at the patient's expense. And
by that, you mean, how were they cutting costs at the patient's expense? Were they refusing
denying
to see them?
services, denying payment for services.
Denying payment for services.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. And another area we're really concerned about with Medicaid are long-term support services for patients that are for disabled patients who are going to need these services for a long, long time. One thing nobody talks about, I've not heard about it on the news, but the company that came in, Iowa Total Care, they have a history in other states of being very good with long-term support services. So that was in their plus column for sure. And it remains to be seen how this is all going to shake out as far as how things, they meet their contracts. But so far, like I said, every time we've addressed them, they have responded, and it's been positive. So I'm good with that. And again, that's why I'm on Medicaid oversight. That's why I'm on Medicaid advisory, because these things, any company, I think, might try to take shortcuts, and that's what we're there for, is to make sure that our most vulnerable are being taken care of. So, but we also do have to, manage costs.
Sure.
And there are other ways. There are other ways to do that through providers as well, as far as transparency and pricing. And transparency encourages competition.
Sure.
So, again, I know I said this a million times before, but the healthcare is one of the only things that you don't know the cost going in. You only know it when you're done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think it was the right thing to do. I don't, I can't speak to what was done before I was in the legislature, and maybe the rolling out of it, how it 100% went right from fee-for-service to managed care, but we are working on it all the time. And again, if anyone has any issues, contact me.
Well, I would say that Medicaid is not socialized medicine.
No.
The Democrats are blowing a hole in their head over this whole thing as far as socialized medicine is concerned. But are we a Christian people or not? I know the Supreme Court, your friends in the court, don't think so, and we'll fight against that whole idea. But we have, in the past here in Iowa, recognized that poor and handicapped people should be treated by we the people. And I still agree with that.
That's our safety net. I completely agree with that too.
I don't. There's always behavior issues with people, drug abuse, drug addiction that I wish they wouldn't do, or certainly a young single woman having several children and expecting us to pay for it. That bothers me. But once it's happened, what are we supposed to do? Say, no, you can't treat your children here? I don't think so.
Yeah, we definitely need to treat and substance abuse as well. That really does turn in. That is a disease that has to be treated.
I agree with you. I couldn't believe me. I agree with you.
That's just not people out for a good time. So, it isn't.
No, it isn't. And there are those who are handicapped in a variety of ways that need treatment.
Absolutely.
So we can't turn our backs on them.
One thing I'll talk about what we're hoping to work on next session, and we're going to be starting work to come up with solutions during the fall, is the childcare. The daycare or daycare, childcare issue. Of course, we have really great people working on that in Fort Dodge. They've done great studies. Elizabeth Stonick is a really great advocate for early childhood development. And she is a wealth of knowledge and great ideas. And hopefully the state and the people who have this knowledge, we're going to work together and we're going to address these problems that'll be a priority during the next legislative session is childcare, safe and affordable childcare. So that's a big issue. Not just for the parents, but for employers as well. If you bring people to town, that's great. If they have kids and you put them on a 1-year waiting list because there's no daycare spots available, we lose those workers.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a job force issue. It's a business issue. It's a quality of life issue.
What would be the extent of the state's involvement in affordable childcare?
One thing we're going to look at for sure is some of the credits that are available to help businesses possibly establish centers on site. That's a heavy lift, but we really want to work with that. Another thing is looking at all of the child in-home daycare regulations and making sure that they are practical and while still keeping our kids safe, making sure that people can go into this as a business. People aren't doing this out of the goodness of their heart. If you're losing money by running a daycare, you're not going to be doing it. We've got people in town that love children, and that's what they do. You want to run a daycare? No, exactly. But some people do.
and my hat is off to them. I think that's wonderful.
So we want to make it easier for them to function as well.
I would be the worst daycare operator in the entire United States.
I might be up there as well. I'm not. I love working with the elderly.
Well, there you go. Because you were, I'm going to change focus with us here again. And our guest is Representative Ann Meyer here at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. If you have a question for Representative Meyer, now's the time. 955-1400. She's not here necessarily to chat with me. She's here as part of her ongoing outreach to her constituents, which I think is commendable. So 955-1400. Some of your fellow Republicans, even the governor, were irritated at you in the last session because of your support for the Supreme Court nominating process as it is. Some of your fellow Republicans would like to change the Supreme Court dramatically. And you have shown reluctance to do any of those things. There is now part of the reason that people push back on the idea of changing the Supreme Court is its independence and its non-political nature. It has since been proven to be not so non-political. There has been extensive articles and extensive reporting, not in the lunatic right-wing press, that there has been lobbying going on. And yes, Chief Justice Cady's been involved in that lobbying. Mike Sexton, as you know, was on this very program to say he had been personally lobbied by Chief Justice Cady to maintain the status quo. Do you feel the same way about our court system as it is? Would you still describe our Supreme Court as non-political?
I can't, and anyone in any system has the right to their political opinions, and so there are definitely political leanings of everyone. And I just want to go back to the reason that I opposed it initially was because it was taking the law profession completely out of the selection process. Where we ended up taking the Supreme Court justice off the state nominating committee and replacing it with an appointee by the governor, whichever governor is elected, whether it's Governor Reynolds or another Democrat governor, whoever the people have elected, and they've elected the governor, they should have that tipping point, that final vote, because a lot of the people on the commission are liberal.
Yeah.
I get that.
And you understand that lawyers have a much different attitude toward the Supreme Court than average citizens do. By that, I mean, yes, they may be professionals in the field, but they have a vested interest in who's on the Supreme Court. They don't want their cases tossed by a conservative judge. They don't want to lose, a case where Chris Godfrey sues the governor. And a conservative judge might not see that Godfrey has a case, while a liberal one might. So it again strikes at the self-interest of very ambitious people. I'm talking lawyers. And worse, it strikes at their pocketbooks if they can't have some control over who's on the Supreme Court or how the court operates. Does that bother you or not?
There's always going to be some interest in there. I'm happy where we landed on the changes.
Okay.
I'm happy with the changes that were made. I can't see taking the lawyers out of the selection process. I just can't.
Well, Shakespeare wanted to take the lawyers out of the process entirely, I believe. What did he say? I can't remember.
Really? There was a nominating commission back in Shakespeare's time, was there?
Somebody wants us to give you, somebody hasn't been listening very closely. They want us to talk about the Hilltop Fest. And
and they haven't been listening closely, because that's how we opened up the segment.
That's how we opened the segment. And again, the Hilltop Fest is this evening.
This evening out at on the Friendship Haven campus. It's a very fun event. I plan on partaking in the silent auction items, so that might not make that person happy.
Yeah. Well, now they didn't hear it because they were working so hard for the benefit of humanity. I understand. And it's always a great pleasure to see you.
Thanks, you too.
If I have the strength tonight after I see my grandkids, I'll come out to the Hilltop thing.
Hey, bring them out. There's food and fun.
Oh God, then I'd have to go all over the campus there trying to find him half the time. But anyway, thank you, Ann, for being here.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to seeing you again next week if you have the time. J. Michael Libby will be here to explain himself and liberals in general in the next segment, because liberals have gone wild. If you've seen these debates, they have liberals gone wild. That sounds like a good television show that I could produce somewhere. Anyway, you're listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
It's everything digital on the Kim Komando Show every Saturday from 11 to 2 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Breaking even isn't enough. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's President Trump's latest take on the trade dispute with China.
We can't just go and make an even deal with China. We have to make a much better deal with China.
Defending his threat of more tariffs beginning September 1st.
Right now, they have a very unfair playing field, and I'm turning it around.
Also predicting that U.S. farmers will eventually benefit from what he's doing.
You're seeing it with the EU. They couldn't do the cattle thing at all. Beef, they couldn't do it at all. And now all of a sudden this came out of nowhere.
This after the president announced a new trade deal aimed at boosting U.S. beef exports to the European Union.
But the president says that's just the first barrier. The EU has huge trade barriers, he says, and that auto tariffs for EU auto manufacturers are never off the table.
Fox's Rich Edson at the White House. The president speaking to reporters on the South Lawn just a short time ago. Many of the questions centered around Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe, who's no longer in the running for a top intelligence post.
The president and the congressman announced that he was withdrawing his name from consideration to be the director of national intelligence. The president says that Ratcliffe received unfair treatment from critics, and he said it was a good idea just to avoid the entire process altogether.
Ratcliffe faced questions about his experience amid reports of padding his resume. President Trump says he wants a new nuclear treaty, ultimately including China, after pulling out of a Reagan-era arms control treaty with Russia.
We ultimately decided it wasn't worth the risk, frankly, the risk the previous administration had taken, and staying in a treaty with two parties and only one actively complying.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Russia had denied repeatedly violating that treaty, but European allies are supporting U.S. withdrawal from it, although the UN Secretary General has warned it's not likely to reduce the threat of ballistic missiles. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
A New York City police officer involved in a fatal confrontation 5 years ago is now suspended after a judge recommended today that Daniel Pantaleo be fired in line with the review board's recommendation. Eric Garner died after a videotaped arrest for selling untaxed cigarettes. Fox's David Lee Miller.
The New York City medical examiner initially ruled that Garner's death was in fact a homicide, but a grand jury in Staten Island, New York, that's where the incident took place, failed to indict.
The Justice Department later cited insufficient evidence for a civil rights case, though they did say a chokehold was used. That's banned under NYPD policies. But a lawyer for Pantaleo has argued he used a different hold, not a chokehold. The final decision on firing is up to the police commissioner. Bail denied today for singer R. Kelly, appearing in a New York courtroom accused of sexually exploiting young women and girls who attended his concerts. This in addition to sex assault and child pornography charges he faces in Chicago. A lawyer entering a not guilty plea for him in New York today. Stocks finish in the red for the week. The Dow down over 2%. The S&P and the Nasdaq lost more than 3%, though today could have been worse. The Dow finishing down 98 points. Worry about the trade war with China overshadowing a positive jobs report. 164,000 jobs created in July.
The number matched expectations from economists, and the unemployment rate held steady at 3.7%. More people returned to the job market. The labor force participation rate improved to 63%. Wages increased 3.2% in the year ending in July. Jobs were created in construction and manufacturing.
Fox's Ginny Cosola. A British singer sets a new record. Ed Sheeran's Divide Tour, now the all-time highest grossing tour ever, topping U2's record from 2011. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KWMT news update, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa, the state agency director who was dismissed 6 weeks ago says he's taken legal action to clear his name and to send a message to his former employees in the Department of Human Services. Jerry Foxhoven held a news conference yesterday morning.
Initially, I just wanted to move on, just get out and move on. And then I think there was all this innuendo from the governor's office and so forth that made it look like I did something wrong. It goes back to those 4,000 people. They needed to hear from me. I didn't do anything wrong, and that I stood by what I asked them to stand by, which was follow the rules and do the right thing.
Governor Reynolds has said she wanted the agency to move in a different direction. And on Monday, Reynolds said Foxhoven had not raised any concerns about using agency money to continue paying the salary of a member of her staff. Foxhoven says he first tried to speak with the governor.
Several months before this occurred, I sent her, the governor, a text asking to meet with her and talk to her privately and said it could be very short, and I never even got a response to it.
He says he did discuss the matter with the governor's chief of staff shortly before he was terminated.
The bottom line is I had a phone conversation with her and I made it very clear that I questioned whether it was legal or not.
Foxhoven says the legislature set aside money to pay for a new staff member in the governor's office, and he was concerned he lacked the authority to divert money from DHS operations to continue paying a member of the governor's staff.
If they're saying that they're denying that I told them I had concerns about that and that I was going to the Attorney General's office, then they're not telling the truth.
Foxhoven's lawyer will first file a claim with the Iowa Appeals Board, alleging that his client was retaliated against and forced from his job because he was a whistleblower. His attorney says it's unlikely the state will offer a settlement, and he expects to file a lawsuit against the governor, her chief of staff, her legal counsel, and the state of Iowa in early 2020. Governor Reynolds has said Foxhoven was dismissed for a lot of reasons, and she wants the agency to go in a new direction. Foxhoven, who is an attorney, says he's looking for his own next adventure working for a nonprofit group. The Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program will be having its third annual Teed Off Against Violence golf tournament fundraiser tomorrow at Lakeside Municipal Golf Course here in Fort Dodge. The tournament also will feature a silent auction. It'll have a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Here's Marie Harvey from the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program on the objective of the event.
The whole goal is to raise funds and awareness that benefit the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program. We serve 15 counties in north central Iowa, and so the money that we raise goes back to providing services for survivors that have been affected by homicide or any other violent crime.
For more information or to register, call Marie or Heather at 515-955-5677. That's 515-955-5677. The 5th annual Leapers Legacy Memorial Ride in memory of Jordan Leaper will be tomorrow. Registrations from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Gridiron in Webster City. Kickstands up at 11 a.m. It's $20 for single rider, $30 per couple. Stops will include Webster City, Lehigh, Luther, Ziering, Williams, and Clarion. There'll be silent and live auctions and raffles. All proceeds will go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund. Here's Brian Dayton with the Memorial Ride on Jordan's legacy.
5 years ago, Jordan Leaper was killed in a car accident. We're continuing on his legacy. We're going to end at Fuel in Clarion with food and DJ entertainment. That's where we're going to have a live and silent auction. All the proceeds go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund, and also there's money that's donated to Upper Des Moines for underprivileged youth. Jordan was an employee at Fuller Hall. He loved his job. He's good at it. Always had a smile on his face. If you can't make the ride, at least try and make it to Fuel. It should be about 5:30 when bikes start rolling in. All the proceeds go to the Memorial Scholarship Fund.
For more information, contact Tara Leaper at 515-408-1814. That's 515-408-1814. For KWMT from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy this afternoon with a high of 80. Winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight, lows dip down to about 59. Lots of sunshine tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 83. Dry with seasonal temps Sunday and Monday, and highs in the mid-80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 78.
Is it time for a new roof, or did your roof take a beating from Mother Nature? If so, here's some great advice from Hahn Roofing. When you're trying to decide on a contractor, never tolerate high-pressure sales tactics. Never sign a contract without a price. Never make a payment until your job is done. And never accept a job that is not installed to manufacturer specifications. No warranty, no deal. Make the right choice. Call Hahn Roofing today at 515-573-7440. That's 515-573-7440. Hahn Roofing, an Owens Corning Platinum contractor.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Message and data rates may apply.
Earning your degree from one of the top business schools in the country might sound impossible to fit into your workload. But what if there were a business degree that advanced your career skills and gave you access to world-renowned faculty, leaders, and mentors all on your schedule? One that opened doors to some of the most influential CEOs, tech companies, law firms, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. And what if you could earn that degree in as little as 16 months, 100% online? Find out more. Text DRIVE to 79645. Start on the path to earning your MBA or Business Analytics Master's degree online from the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University today. Learn more about the graduate programs from the top-ranked W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University, offered 100% online. Text DRIVE to 79645. That's DRIVE to 79645.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
This week on the Iowa Watch Connection.
They may have crop insurance. Crop insurance doesn't cover everything.
Effects of the massive spring flooding in Iowa continue to be seen.
We're always stretched thin. One of the things that results from that is that people are not seen often enough.
Systemic strains are even more challenging now.
I don't know how to recruit therapists. It's an ongoing problem.
Seeking help in disaster-stricken areas. Our topic this week.
The Iowa Watch Connection is presented by the Iowa Center for Public Affairs Journalism, online at iowawatch.org. Here is Jeff Stein.
The images seen of spring flooding in western Iowa were amazing and easily depicted a devastating situation. That's what we could see, but what about the residual impact of the flooding in areas that could not be seen? Iowa Watch reporter Kelly Page has our report.
I knew some Iowans report having problems accessing mental health care. I also thought about the effects flooding this year, especially along the Missouri and Mississippi rivers, could have on farmers, not just economically, but mentally as well. I wondered, does Iowa have mental health care resources in these flooded regions to address the needs of farmers? A population researcher suggests is already at risk when mental health conditions emerge, especially when you consider a stigma attached to seeking help that is strong among farmers. More than a dozen mental health care experts I spoke with over 2 months told me they were concerned that there are not enough mental health care professionals in Iowa to treat farmers. Moreover, they said they expected an increasing need for care because of the floods. But there's another problem. Many mental health care professionals do not want to work in a rural area, for reasons ranging from a lack of resources to a perceived lack of cultural opportunities.
I don't know how to recruit therapists.
That's Susan Ecker, director of Waubonsie Mental Health Clinic, which has locations in Fremont, Page, and Montgomery counties in southwestern Iowa. Those are some of the counties hit hardest by flooding earlier this year.
It's an ongoing problem recruiting therapists to our communities in the absence of disaster and crisis. But when you have natural disasters such as this flooding, it just makes it even more, underscores it even more that we've got to come up with some way, some programs like what we once had that entices and encourages therapists to consider coming to rural communities. And I think of the therapists that I employ, they grew up here. this is home to them. But I think often when somebody grows up in an urban area, there's lots of opportunities there, and there's really no incentive for them to relocate here.
The incentives Ecker mentioned are funding from the National Health Service Corps, which provides student loan forgiveness and grants as part of their program to bring healthcare to rural areas. Ecker said Waubonsie stopped receiving those benefits after her area's mental health care shortage area rating, determined by the U.S. Health Resources and Services Administration, showed improvement. Many areas of Iowa hit by flooding receive benefits from the National Health Service Corps, however. In all, 50 of the 59 Iowa counties designated as disaster areas because of flooding this year also have been designated by the Health Resources and Services Administration as having inadequate mental health care. It is important to note also that shortages exist throughout the state. 86 of Iowa's 99 total counties are designated mental health professional shortage areas. However, even in clinics that receive help from the National Health Services Corps, therapists told me it did not solve all of their problems.
We're always stretched thin. So one of the things that results from that is that people are not seen often enough.
That's Alicia Doherty. She is a clinical supervisor at Plains Area Mental Health Center, which covers a wide patch of northwest Iowa. Aside from Service Corps funding, she said Plains Area Mental Health Center offers employment benefits, such as numerous health insurance policy options, and pay that is 7% higher than the state average. She said she still feels the clinics are constantly short-handed.
I'm going to be honest. I really feel like our education doesn't prepare us for what it's really like to work in this field. And so like sometimes we get people in here who after a few weeks decide that they don't even want to work in this field after they've gotten like, 2 to 3 years of education and, $60,000 to $100,000 worth of student loans. Because a college's goal really is to matriculate, is to get people, through their program. They advertise those rates, but, when people get out into the reality of working in community mental health with lots and lots of barriers, it's a completely different experience. So like a lot of models are set up, a lot of treatment models and, like community models are set up for urban areas. I would say most of them, to be honest, are set up for urban areas. And then we try to implement them in rural Iowa because they have such good outcomes. And then you're dealing with transportation, you're dealing with just lack of resources. When I lived in the city, it was just a matter of figuring out what resource someone needed and plugging them in. Out here, they just don't exist. So that's really difficult for a clinician who's only supposed to be treating someone's symptoms. And in the end, they ended up also being a case manager.
The result for patients is high turnover rates, which can have negative effects on treatment.
I have actually 2 clients on my caseload right now who saw their previous therapist. One of them saw her for 9 years. The other one saw her for 13 years, who were honestly traumatized by having to start seeing me. So it was a major setback for their treatment.
Pat Sheldon, whose family has been farming near the small town of Percival in the southwestern corner of Iowa for 4 generations, has been working continuously to maintain the 2,500 acres of farmland owned by him, his father, his brothers, and his son. Sheldon also is the president of the Benton, Washington Levy District.
Hello, it's Mike.
Hey, me. I'm sorry I'm late.
Lib. Yeah, you're a little late there, buddy. Can you call back at 4:40? I'm into something else right now.
All right, can do. See
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Saying away you go. Despite the shortage of mental health care providers in these rural areas, especially for farmers, Mike Negg, the state's Agriculture and Land Stewardship Secretary, said he wants to understand these problems and help to the best of his ability. Here's Negg in an interview with me.
if there's lacking capacity or if there aren't resources available, we want to make sure that there are. So I guess I'm always wanting to understand more about those things, and then we'll help in any way that we can.
I'm Kelly Page for the Iowa Watch Connection.
And Iowa Watch reporter Kelly Page joins me now. The most fundamental question, Kelly, how did you come up with the idea for this series of extended reports?
Well, I was kind of aware that there were a lot of people in Iowa who had trouble accessing mental health care within the state. And I was also thinking about just all of the flooding that's been happening in the state just this year, and wondering how that would affect farmers and their mental health needs, if this was a triggering situation for them. So I just really wanted to figure out, like, if there were people who were concerned, and kind of like where the issues lay within the ability of Iowans to access mental health care, specifically farmers in rural areas right now.
As you did the reporting, what surprised you the most?
Well, what surprised me is that a lot of these issues just get echoed across the state. There's definitely a shortage. There's a shortage that people feel. Most of the mental health care providers I talked to, all of them were aware of the shortage. I did talk to one who had found a way to kind of deal with it, or at least to expand services just by actively recruiting people to come work there. But everyone told me it's very hard to get mental health care providers to work in the state, in rural areas especially.
And that's even made worse by the fact that there's undue stress, if you will, on the mental health providers who are there. So it becomes a situation where not only are they at risk, these professionals, of absorbing the stress from the people they consult, but it also could put quite a stress on them as well.
Yes, exactly. I talked to one mental health care provider who was in an area that wasn't a flooded region. It was a mental health care professional shortage area. And she talked to me a lot about kind of the ethical dilemma she faces about, like, a lot of times people come to her, there's no easy place for her to refer them to. She can refer them usually to a nearby city. The clinics in those nearby cities are often extremely booked as well, but also a lot of people don't have time to make that drive. They don't have resources to make that drive. If they're farmers, they might not have time to make that drive, or other professions too, but she mentioned farmers specifically. And yeah, she doesn't know what to do with that, because it's a decision that she said she has to make this decision often of, does she try to take on more clients or give the best care she can to the clients she already has? And she's just one person. How does she deal with an ethical dilemma like that?
This is an extensive project that encompassed reporting from all areas of the state. How has this experience helped you be better able to conduct future in-depth reporting projects? In other words, what did you learn from just the nuts and bolts of putting all of this together?
I mean, I learned a lot, and a lot of it was the nuts and bolts. It was being able to take writing that, I kind of honed my writing skills up to this point in an academic context, and a lot of it was figuring out how to kind of transfer that to journalism. But also, it just made me believe in myself. I see what I've done, and I'm proud of it, and I'm ready to be a journalist now. And I'm so grateful for this experience on so many levels.
What do you hope people who read the stories at iowawatch.org or hear the radio program, what do you want them to take away knowing or feeling about the topic?
I guess just the fact that there's people who are expressing concern, and readers can do with that whatever they want. I think that it's just important to know that this problem exists, and I tried my best to kind of tap into reasons that this problem exists, that people, especially in rural areas, have a lot of trouble accessing mental health care in Iowa. I really just want to make that problem visible, and the fact that there are reasons for that problem.
Iowa Watch reporter Kelly Page, thanks. You can read a series of related reports Kelly prepared on this topic on our website, iowawatch.org. When we come back, we'll talk with a farmer and therapist who can relate to this situation at a variety of levels. That's next, when the Iowa Watch Connection continues.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
Tackling farm succession planning during a tough year. Hello, everyone. I'm Rhiannon Branch with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. Planning to pass down the family farm isn't easy, especially at a time when markets are uncertain, crops are behind schedule, and some farmers don't even know if they can keep the farm running. In this Managing for Profit, family business consultant and farmer Jolene Brown will outline some steps needed to ensure a family farm stays successful for generations to come. More after this on Brownfield.
Time. It's the eternal measure for growers everywhere, influencing the ebbs and flows of every season. Through it all, Nutrien Ag Solutions stands with you, offering agronomic power, local expertise, and access to solutions to help you lead the field. Because the time to act is right now. Find your local crop consultant at nutrienagsolutions.com.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Family business consultant Jolene Brown says when handing down the family farm, farmers must be prepared to pass along not only the labor and management, but also the leadership and ownership.
Those who really want the legacy to continue work very hard because they understand that the number one job of a leader of the business is to replace himself or herself.
She tells Brownfield a farming business must hire the right people for the job and determine which comes first, the family or the business.
I do not want moms and dads hiring their sons and daughters. I want good leaders, managers hiring really good employees. And when we do, we begin to operate as a business. They're going to have to decide, do you want to be a family first business or a business first family? And I will let them know that at least 95% or more of every conversation or email or interaction I have comes from people operating as a family first. Don't rock the boat. We don't want to get dead mad. Oh, I think there's a will. We're just all getting along. Oh, we just love each other. And they are operating their future on a hope, a habit, tradition, and assumption. And sometimes that works. I call that luck. Help them operate as a business first family. This does not demean the family. This does not say the business is more important than the family, but what it says is we love and honor you so much. We're going to do the stuff to get the business right.
She reminds farmers all agreements must be put on paper.
If it's not in writing, it does not exist. And a conversation is not a contract. So whether we're exchanging labor for use of somebody else's equipment on our rented ground, you've got to have that in writing because I can give you the testament of what happens when you don't.
And she says younger generations continuing the family business need to take care of the ones who passed it on to them.
Well, it includes things like making sure we've got the senior generation financially secure, because if they're not, they're going to micromanage you to death. They're not going to let you dink with their security, and they never transition the ownership. Now, as we make sure they're financially secure, we have to understand that if they truly built the business, they deserve the lifestyle and the living that they want.
She tells Brownfield communication and cooperation are keys to successfully passing down the farm.
So when you work with a family and a family business, sometimes we have to go back so that we don't have the attitude of entitlement, but we have the attitude of gratitude. And with that foundation, then we are willing to do more than what's expected. We're willing to help other people do their jobs well. We work toward a common goal, and that is how you're going to increase your productivity and profitability.
That was Iowa farmer and family business consultant Jolene Brown, and I'm Rhiannon Branch with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
Ernie's Harley Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media present our Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride Saturday, August 10th. Be at Fort Dodge Ford between 9 and 10:30 to register. Then it's kickstands up for 150 miles of wide open fun on the road. Our Hogs for Heroes stops include the Co-op Bar and Grill in Pomeroy, River Valley Winery in Humboldt, Johnny's Bar and Grill in Wesley, the Blue Moose Saloon in Renwick, Ernie's Harley Davidson in Algona, and Miller's Landing in Humboldt, where you can listen to live music, eat great food, and bid on your favorite items in the silent auction. Entry fee is just $15 a rider or $25 a couple. All proceeds go to the Brushy Creek Honor Flight. Get a free Hogs for Heroes t-shirt while supplies last. Pre-register until August 8th at yourfortdodge.com to reserve your spot and t-shirt. This special event is sponsored in part by the Western Edge in Humboldt, Iowa Outdoor Store, Hardware and Rental, Fort Dodge, Riddle's Jewelry, Fort Dodge, and Zinnel Roofing, Humboldt. Fire up your bike, your car, your truck, even your minivan for the Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride, hosted by Ernie's Harley Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media. We ride so they can fly.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KWMT news update, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa, the state agency director who was dismissed 6 weeks ago says he's taken legal action to clear his name and to send a message to his former employees in the Department of Human Services. Jerry Foxhoven held a news conference yesterday morning.
Initially, I just wanted to move on, just get out and move on. And then I think there was all this innuendo from the governor's office and so forth that made it look like I did something wrong. It goes back to those 4,000 people. They needed to hear from me. I didn't do anything wrong, and that I stood by what I asked them to stand by, which was follow the rules and do the right thing.
Governor Reynolds has said she wanted the agency to move in a different direction, and on Monday, Reynolds said Foxhoven had not raised any concerns about using agency money to continue paying the salary of a member of her staff. Foxhoven says he first tried to speak with the governor.
Several months before this occurred, I sent her, the governor, a text asking to meet with her and talk to her privately. Instead, it could be very short, and I never even got a response to it.
He says he did discuss the matter with the governor's chief of staff shortly before he was terminated.
The bottom line is I had a phone conversation with her, and I made it very clear that I questioned whether it was legal or not.
Foxhoven says the legislature set aside money to pay for a new staff member in the governor's office, and he was concerned he lacked the authority to divert money from DHS operations to continue paying a member of the governor's staff.
If they're saying that they're denying that I told them I had concerns about that and that I was going to the Attorney General's office, then they're not telling the truth.
Foxhoven's lawyer will first file a claim with the Iowa Appeals Board, alleging that his client was retaliated against and forced from his job because he was a whistleblower. His attorney says it's unlikely the state will offer a settlement, and he expects to file a lawsuit against the governor, her chief of staff, her legal counsel, and the state of Iowa in early 2020. Governor Reynolds has said Foxhoven was dismissed for a lot of reasons, and she wants the agency to go in a new direction. Foxhoven, who is an attorney, says he's looking for his own next adventure working for a nonprofit group. The Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program will be having its third annual Teed Off Against Violence golf tournament fundraiser tomorrow at Lakeside Municipal Golf Course here in Fort Dodge. The tournament also will feature a silent auction. It'll have a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Here's Marie Harvey from the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program on the objective of the event.
The whole goal is to raise funds and awareness that benefit the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program. We serve 15 counties in north central Iowa, and so the money that we raise goes back to providing services for survivors that have been affected by homicide or any other violent crime.
For more information or to register, call Marie or Heather at 515-955-5677. That's 515-955-5677. The 5th annual Leapers Legacy Memorial Ride in memory of Jordan Leaper will be tomorrow. Registrations from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Gridiron in Webster City. Kickstands up at 11 a.m. It's $20 for single rider, $30 per couple. Stops will include Webster City, Lehigh, Luther, Ziering, Williams, and Clarion. There'll be silent and live auctions and raffles. All proceeds will go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund. Here's Brian Dayton with the memorial ride on Jordan's legacy.
5 years ago, Jordan Leaper was killed in a car accident. We're continuing on his legacy. We're going to end at Fuel in Clarion with food and DJ entertainment. That's where we're going to have a live and silent auction. All the proceeds go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund, and also there's money that's donated to Upper Des Moines for underprivileged youth. Jordan was an employee at Fuller Hall. He loved his job. He's good at it. Always had a smile on his face. If you can't make the ride, at least try and make it to Fuel. It should be about 5:30 when bikes start rolling. Then all the proceeds go to the Memorial Scholarship Fund.
For more information, contact Tara Leaper at 515-408-1814. That's 515-408-1814. For KWMT from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy this afternoon with a high of 80. Winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 59. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 83. Dry with seasonal temps Sunday and Monday and highs in the mid-80s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 80.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
From the Fox Business Network, all Wall Street stocks falling for their worst week in months as investors overlooked an inline jobs report for July and focused on threats by President Trump to increase tariffs on Chinese imports. Tech stocks coming under the heaviest selling pressure, with Apple leading the charge, while safe play stocks like utilities and real estate companies were among the gainers. With the Dow falling 98 points, the Nasdaq down 107, S&P 500 down 21. And toy maker Hasbro says that putting tariffs on toys made in China, which has been avoided thus far, would be damaging to their industry and company. Hasbro says it hopes toys may be excluded, but if it's not, it will substantially impact American consumers, including their ability to gift high-quality toys. And Yum Brands will be closing hundreds of Pizza Hut locations, bringing the total U.S. store count to about 7,000 as it makes the transition to a fast casual delivery format from a dine-in setup. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsky.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%. APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate subject to change. 8.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. 4:38, 22 minutes before 5 o'clock. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home. The historic Bruce's Funeral Home here in Fort Dodge is at 923 First Avenue South. And you may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Judith Macbeth. Judy Macbeth has died at the age of 76. She lived in Vincent, Iowa, and she died last Saturday at Fort Dodge Health and Rehab. There will be a celebration of life service for Judy Macbeth, and that'll be held at a later date. She is survived by her husband, Mark, two daughters, Carol Lee Wilson, and Nikia Lucina of Fort Dodge, and son Matthew of Roland. She was preceded in death by her father, James Lynn, mother, Margaret Lynn, and brother, Richard Lynn. She is also survived by her husband. The family requests that memorial gifts be left to Almost Home Humane Society, 725 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South here in Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. It's 4:39.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We're in possession of 60 rounds of freedom at all times. I was going to get Congressman Steve King to show up for this segment, but I decided to go full liberal. So I naturally turned once again to Motown Mike Libby, who is calling us from Windsor Heights, I assume. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well, my friend. How you doing?
I'm
What's
doing
going on in the Dodge?
Well. You may remember the J. Mars Cruise Nights. We're having one, and
Really?
also there is a hilltop deal out at your old stomping grounds, the Friendship Haven. This evening.
Very nice.
So we got it all going on in Dodge again tonight, Mike.
What are they doing up at Hilltop?
Let me see here. Now I just had the information.
I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, well, they're here. Let me get.
That's all right. But I'm sure that it's a good time.
Friendship Haven
I'm sure.
event. The Hilltop Fest starts at 6, and I'm not sure exactly what it's for. but
Ice cream for everyone.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Actually, I was kind of looking for universal health care for the entire world and free
Me too,
university education for the entire world. I want you to get your mind around a concept. Donald Trump will be reelected and serve until 2024 because if this craziness keeps up, Mike, that's what's going to happen. Have you talked to your fellow way out there liberals and said, Bernie and a couple of the others may be crazy
Yeah.
as
Well,
hell?
I think it's really already been decided. Everybody can go home. Joseph Biden will be the nominee, and he's already. Today's polls are leading 2-1 for Uncle Joe. And even though he said "Go easy on me, kid" to Senator Kamala Harris, which I'm sure that everybody made bank on the other day. So it's all over. I mean, so now what we're doing is we're vying for the vice presidency role, and so it'll be interesting to see how this thing works out.
Oh, I think Pete Buttigieg, veteran, gay, the whole thing. Can't run his own city, but I think he's cute. So there we go.
Well, it's legal here in Iowa now, so
Yes,
that's
it is.
okay that you think he's cute.
Yes, it is. We can all get married. We can get married. I'd like to marry my horse. No, wait, I'll back off on that. No,
There you go. I did. So did you watch the debates with Rap Angst?
Did I watch the debates with what? I watched them with absolute amazement bordering on horror.
I thought it was great. I just thought it was great. I love it when we call a debate really 60-second increments of talk time.
Well,
Anyway,
that was annoying, but apparently Kamala Harris is a mean woman who slept her way to the top. Barack Obama, of all people, Barack Obama got beat up on the second debate more than Trump, which I really thought was cool.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. The Democrats have a tendency to sometimes eat their young.
Boy,
and
yes.
And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. But it really, in the end of the game, it really doesn't matter. I mean, all of these debates, even though there were 11 or 12 million people watching, I saw a poll just the other day. This is incredible. Less, as far as people making up their mind, less than 7% of people have not made up their mind. So this may already be in the bank. I mean, the poll that was out today indicated that Vice President Biden leads everybody, including Senator Sanders, 2-1. And so, anyway, it's a neat exercise. I do say this, one of my favorites, two of my favorites that are dark horses in this would be John Delaney, former congressman out of Maryland, and Andrew Yang, who didn't get as much talk time as what he should. But those two guys are really brilliant. And I think John Delaney was perhaps correct when he was talking about all this pie in the sky stuff, that you can make promises that are simply not going to happen.
Delaney, if you recall, asked Bernie Sanders if he'd seen the bill, and Bernie said, "What do you mean? Did I read the bill? I wrote the damn bill." I'm doing a very bad Bernie, but I really like to do Bernie Sanders when I wrote the damn bill. So a lot of people thought John
Bernie's
Delaney,
a great American.
Yeah, John. I thought John Delaney disappeared at that particular moment. He just poof. He was up at a there was a puff of smoke.
John Delaney is now on his second 99 county tour here in Iowa, which is kind of amazing. he's almost lived here.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this past winter, I met his wife.
Really?
She she was here in the Des Moines Metro at a Greater Des Moines Partnership event, and she was just kind of making the rounds, saying hi. It was just lovely. So, again, and I say to my friends that may be listening to this on the stream or wherever you happen to be, I don't really care what party you belong to, but Iowa is just a fabulous place to live during these times. And of course, these times are anything political. And what's really cool about this is that we never really leave the political cycle. I mean, right? We're smack dab in the middle of this whole caucus thing.
Oh, yeah.
But this fall are school board elections and city council elections. And then we go from that, into the caucus period, and we go from the caucus period into the next round of congressional races. So yeah, it's just kind of fun, if you're a Politico.
Now, you and I should do a podcast together. I tell you, I always, back many years ago when we were on KKZ radio across the way, I always wanted to do that with you because you were, kind of a liberal guy, and I was more of a traditionalist. And Saturday Night Live was in full swing, and I wanted you to do the Jane Curtin part, and I would do the.
Yeah, I know you ignorant. Yeah, I know.
Mike, you ignorant slut. And I just really wanted to do that, and we never.
You should take a look on your Facebook page as well as 1400 KVFD. I just posted a video telling the world what you and I were going to talk about.
Well,
you were going to tell me you were going to tell me how wonderful 45 is. I was going to tell you what an idiot he is, and then we were going to talk about who won or lost the debates. And neither one of us are going to win the argument at the end of the day. But it's up there.
Yeah,
I'm trying my best, man. Trying my best to expand your reach.
Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it. Did you mention we're on YouTube, 1400 KVFD on YouTube?
I did.
Audio and video.
Whatever it takes.
Okay.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Yeah, this could be my.
And I have to tell you, it's not in honor of anybody that's running the place now. Everything is in honor of Max Landis. May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. I learned
he was Mr. Radio.
I learned a lot from Max Landis. I worked for him for a short time. We went out to lunch one time, and he said, Mike, if you want to buy KVFD, there's plenty of money around, and I know where it is. And for some reason, I still thought I was going to go to Los Angeles and take Rick Dees' place. Only old disc jockeys know who Rick Dees is. He was a very popular, very wealthy LA DJ there for a long time.
Well, given the demographics of your listenership, I suspect everybody knows who Rick Dees is. But I've got to cut in here for just a minute. I remember you coming to me. I'm not making this up. You had a job offer in Little Rock, Arkansas.
I did.
With B something, and everybody was the Buzz, and everybody was the B.
Be this and be that, yeah.
B97 or something, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
And then you left there, and you went to like North or South Carolina, one of those Carolina places.
That's right, I did.
That are going to matter in the upcoming 2020 primaries. And after that, you called me one day. I'll never forget it. You called me one day, and you said, "Hey, Michael, should I take a job as a rock and roll disc jockey, or should I go to News Talk?" And I think it was in
Springfield, Massachusetts.
And what did I tell you?
You told me, I don't remember exactly.
I told you to go to Massachusetts because you are a brilliant talk show host.
Thank you.
And you needed to go there. Yeah, and you would have been in Los Angeles now had you listened to the old Jewish guy and gone to Springfield, Mass.
Well, at the time, I still thought you were a Methodist minister who was pulling my leg.
They thought that for a long time over at Friendship Haven, too.
No, we have just discussed in a period of less than a minute, I think, the two biggest mistakes career-wise in my life. As far as women, that's way in the double digits now. But
you too?
Yeah, me too. But the guy up in Springfield was throwing everything at me. I'll get you a partner. I'll get you support. I'll get you research people. Yeah. We are going to do this. I'm going to put you front and center. Morning show, talk radio, Springfield, Massachusetts, which was a town of 500,000 people, which had a few universities. I think Holyoke University is there. And I gave it up to go to Arkansas, or where did I go? I can't.
I don't know. It was after Arkansas.
It was after Arkansas. Yeah, I was in Arkansas when Bill Clinton was governor, and I of course I knew I had to look up Bill Clinton in a newspaper at the time, and there he was, this kind of overweight guy with freckles and a bad haircut. And I tried to make a couple of Bill Clinton jokes, I think, and I was called into the program director's office almost the first week, and he said, you know, you want to watch that pretty close because a lot of people down here like Bill. They even have a group called the Friends of Bill. And no kidding, he ran for president a few years after that, and this Friends of Bill group were right with him all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, former President Clinton is magic with people, just magic. Let's say I was going to share something else with you, and we got off on this tangent. But it doesn't really matter, I guess.
Let's talk about. You brought up the issue that I wanted to talk about: charisma and electricity, which Bill Clinton had it, Barack Obama had it, Ronald Reagan had it, George Bush. He had enough to beat Al Gore, but you know, Al Gore was God. The poor man was boring. To listen to him was effort, you know. So Bush got over the hump there. But you have to have someone who's in front of a television camera and microphones who rips the roof right off the building, like Donald Trump did out to Iowa Central. And this was his big applause line. Are you ready for this? I love Iowa. Yeah. I love Iowa. I think I'll buy a farm and live here.
All right. Just another lie.
That was a good one, though.
Yeah, it was. You know, but nobody cares. So you know, you talk about charisma. It's a really interesting thing. You know, one of the people that I think has real charisma in this, and he's not been on the stage because he can't be. If you ever get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, to go see Admiral Joe Suspect, you got to do that. I mean, this guy he's intense. He really is intense, and doesn't have probably a chance in hell. But he is really very, very good, Admiral Joe Suspect. Anyway, Cory Booker, I think, has got a little bit of that charisma going too. And he's a nice guy, you know. He comes across well. He's bright. He's intelligent. He's a former athlete. He's got a mayoral experience. He's got senatorial experience. So a great guy, and he will make a great vice president pick for Vice President Joe Biden when he takes the nomination.
Oh boy, Biden just scares me, and I'll tell you frankly, it's because of his age. He's 79 years old, and
that's why
the vice president pick is so important. You're right.
Right. So and I think, you know, as we look on this whole myriad of candidates, I can't help but think that yes, in their heart of hearts, they really believe that they may have a breakout moment and become the nominee of their party. I think what's really going on is that there are a number of people that are positioning themselves as leaders in the Democratic Party who will be taking some significant cabinet posts after the 2020 election with President Biden. So let me back up here just a minute. I don't want to give your listeners the idea that I support President Biden or Vice President Biden, or that I'm anchoring for him. I'm just calling what it is. I think it's over. But that's just me, and we're 8 months away from the caucus.
Oh yeah, quite a ways away. They had to have these debates after what happened between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton last time around. I still think Hillary Clinton's out there somewhere thinking she is going to rise Phoenix-like from the chaos.
Oh no,
you don't think so? Oh, she'd like to. No. She's talking to people. From what I understand, she's talking with people about yet another presidential run. And Trump will beat her. Trump will beat her.
Well, I don't think the current occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is going to beat anybody. But that
you can't say his name, can you? You're one of those guys who can't even say Trump.
No, I can't. He is so disgusting. I cannot say his name. I can say Melania because she's hot.
Oh, is she ever? Yeah, she's the first.
By the way, speaking of the first lady, did you happen? And I don't believe it's accurate, but did you happen to see the photographs of the first lady in this orange or pink dress with a white top, and she was clearly outlined with regard to her
body. Yeah, she was.
Her body.
Yeah. Well, Melania Trump is the first lady of the United States of America that I have actually seen naked. Not personally, but I've seen pictures of Melania Trump naked. I can't. And of course, you know how much.
and so many of your listeners just lost it when Michelle Obama bared her arms.
What?
But, you know, hey.
I didn't get that either. What about her arms? What about them? Jesus.
Oh, wow.
But I went in a totally different direction, Mike. You know how I think. I started thinking of other first ladies I might like to see naked. Hillary Clinton, no. Laura Bush, maybe. Nancy Reagan, not a chance. Not a chance for Nancy Reagan.
Hey, 50 years ago, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Even 50 years ago, I don't know.
That's why Ronnie, who, by the way, said some horribly disparaging things about animals and Africa, that was just released this week, which is horrible. And I'm stunned. I'm sure that those who hoist the flag of the ever-loving former President Reagan are just shocked.
Oh, I doubt it. Mike, you and I are older men. And you and I both could go back into our past, or somebody could go into our past and bring up something that we may have said that we wouldn't say today, but was acceptable at the time. I will extend that to our father's generation. I mean, it sounds, and I know what you're talking about as far as Reagan, and it sounds out of place for Ronald Reagan, frankly. I would have thought Richard Nixon, not a problem. But things change for the better in regard to how we speak about each other.
Okay, so let me switch gears on you here.
Okay.
So I understand, it's all in the news, I'm sure you guys have talked about it, that a former governor, now ambassador on the slow boat to China, Branstad, has decided to go ahead and appeal the $1.5 million judgment that the jury awarded Mr. Godfrey in his suit, his wrongful termination suit, and so that'll be interesting. So we're going to go back to court. The number that the Republicans have already spent on trying to either protect themselves or defend themselves or have paid out in judgments now is over $8 million.
Yeah.
But we cannot afford to fund schools. We cannot afford to pay teachers. We can't afford these things. We've got to cut people off of Medicaid because why? We are out there supporting individuals who have been harassers, such as, apparently, according to the courts, the former governor of the state of Iowa, plus a whole litany of GOP senators and House members and staffers. So, hey, I'm crying crocodile tears, man.
Yes,
just
you are.
Just keep on writing the checks, GOP. Just keep on writing the checks.
And they're writing them to the Trial Lawyers Association, and a lot of that money goes to where? Oh, to fund the Democratic Party. What a surprise!
No.
Come on. Be fair.
No.
Who is Roxanne Conlon? Who is Roxanne Conlon?
Absolutely 100% false.
She's still mad at Terry Branstad for beating her for governor way back when. I mean, come on. And Chris Godfrey, I believe, personally, frankly, didn't have a case at all. Did not have a case at all.
So that's what the jury says.
I know that. Well,
the jury said, okay,
that's in Polk County.
It's going to be appealed. It will not be overturned. And your favorites, the woman that currently occupies Terrace Hill, and which I can't say her name either because she's such a. Anyway,
easy now. Family show.
Hey, I didn't say anything.
All right. Man.
But she and her ilk have now been responsible for over $8 million in fines and penalties and judgments. So when does it end?
All right.
I don't think it does.
Thanks for being on, Mike. We got to go.
All right, buddy.
AM 1400 KVFD.
Congratulations to Good Samaritan Society Manson on their recent 5-star rating awarded by the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Good Samaritan Manson received a perfect 5-star rating for their outstanding health inspection results, staffing ratios, and quality of care. Their compassionate and dedicated team of employees sets them apart from other senior living centers in the area. To learn more, visit good-sam.com or drop by anytime. Good Samaritan Society Manson, when someone you care about needs caring for.
I'm Jamie Brundage, owner of Historic Bruce Funeral Home. We're a full-service funeral home with an off-site crematory. At Bruce's, we specialize in pre-arrangements and family support before, during, and after the service. We also offer beautiful memorial items to help you remember your loved one forever. Bruce Funeral Home is proud to be by your side every step of the way throughout the funeral process. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge.
KVFD, Fort Dodge, Iowa.
Intelligent decision to bow out. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Trump believes Congressman John Ratcliffe made the right call to withdraw from consideration for Director of National Intelligence.
I could see that the press was treating him, I thought, very unfairly. He's an outstanding man. And I asked him, I said, do you want to go through this for 2 or 3 months, or would you want me to maybe do something else?
Intelligence experts criticized the Texas Republicans' lack of experience.
He wasn't in that world that much. I think he would have picked it up very quickly. But I think he would have had great Republican support, probably would have had no Democrat support.
The president, before leaving the White House, saying he will announce a new nominee next week. China vowing to retaliate if the president follows through with a new 10% tariff on Chinese goods.
The president also saying that China has a lot to do before the United States would consider avoiding those tariffs that the president's forecasting or said he's going to put on $300 billion with their Chinese imports on September 1st. He also says he's willing to go even higher on those tariff rates if China doesn't reverse its policies as these negotiations are ongoing.
Fox's Rich Edson at the White House, the standoff shaking markets for a second day. The Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500 all closing in the red. An administrative judge recommends firing a New York City police officer for using a chokehold in the death of an unarmed black man, but the police commissioner has final say on Officer Daniel Pantaleo's punishment.
During the department's internal disciplinary hearing, Pantaleo did not testify. His attorney argued that Pantaleo used a seatbelt restraining technique that does not interrupt breathing. He also cited Eric Garner's obesity and a variety of health problems that he says contributed to a fatal heart attack.
Fox's David Lee Miller, Garner's death in 2014 became a rallying cry for the Black Lives Matter movement. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%, APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 0.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KWMT news update, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa, the state agency director who was dismissed 6 weeks ago says he's taken legal action to clear his name and to send a message to his former employees in the Department of Human Services. Jerry Foxhoven held a news conference yesterday morning.
Initially, I just wanted to move on, just get out and move on. And then I think there was all this innuendo from the governor's office and so forth that made it look like I did something wrong. It goes back to those 4,000 people. They needed to hear from me. I didn't do anything wrong, and that I stood by what I asked them to stand by, which was follow the rules and do the right thing.
Governor Reynolds has said she wanted the agency to move in a different direction. And on Monday, Reynolds said Foxhoven had not raised any concerns about using agency money to continue paying the salary of a member of her staff. Foxhoven says he first tried to speak with the governor.
Several months before this occurred, I sent her, the governor, a text asking to meet with her and talk to her privately and said it could be very short, and I never even got a response to it.
He says he did discuss the matter with the governor's chief of staff shortly before he was terminated.
The bottom line is I had a phone conversation with her, and I made it very clear that I questioned whether it was legal or not.
Foxhoven says the legislature set aside money to pay for a new staff member in the governor's office, and he was concerned he lacked the authority to divert money from DHS operations to continue paying a member of the governor's staff.
If they're saying that they're denying that I told them I had concerns about that and that I was going to the Attorney General's office, then they're not telling the truth.
Foxhoven's lawyer will first file a claim with the Iowa Appeals Board alleging that his client was retaliated against and forced from his job because he was a whistleblower. His attorney says it's unlikely the state will offer a settlement, and he expects to file a lawsuit against the governor, her chief of staff, her legal counsel, and the state of Iowa in early 2020. Governor Reynolds has said Foxhoven was dismissed for a lot of reasons, and she wants the agency to go in a new direction. Foxhoven, who is an attorney, says he's looking for his own next adventure working for a nonprofit group. The Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program will be having its third annual Teed Off Against Violence golf tournament fundraiser tomorrow at Lakeside Municipal Golf Course here in Fort Dodge. The tournament also will feature a silent auction. It'll have a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Here's Marie Harvey from the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program on the objective of the event.
The whole goal is to raise funds and awareness.
From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is the Dave Ramsey Show, where you learn to take control of your money and create a life you love. I am Ramsey personality Rachel Cruz, filling in for Dave this hour, and it's a free call anywhere in the country at 888-825-5225. Call and ask your questions about your life and your money. And this hour is so fun. I hosted solo last hour, but this hour, I get my friend in studio, Ramsey personality, Anthony O'Neill. Welcome.
The one and only. How you doing,
The
Rachel?
one and only, Anthony. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, man. Fun times.
So great. Okay, so those people that are not familiar with you, who are you? What are you doing here? And yeah, what are you all about, Anthony?
You know,
AKA anti-student loan guy, which
Oh,
I can't wait.
man.
I can't wait to dive in.
I hate student loans, but we'll talk about that later on. But, just really passionate about helping teens and millennials start off their life correctly. That's just really my heart, my passion, and my message. If you're a teenager graduating, going to high school, going to college, or going into the military, or even going into the real world, and then if you're a college student going into the real world, about to get a job, about to become a family man or a family young lady, I want to help them build a solid foundation for their future. Because, I was homeless at 19. And so I didn't have the processes or the knowledge to know this is how you start. And this is how you start correctly.
Yeah.
And so I'm just excited really about what I'm doing. Rachel, it's fun times. And I'm just excited because the book is coming out here.
I know.
soon.
Okay, I want to talk about that. So I'm so excited because we had a book product together, the Graduate Survival Guide. And you took that and just totally ran with it. But this whole topic of student loans, going to college, like it is massive. And so you have something really exciting happening.
I do. On Monday, me and Dave will announce it here live on the show that it will be available for pre-sale.
I love that we're teasing it before the
Monday.
pre-sale. Hopefully Dave doesn't kill us wherever he is out in the world right now since he's not in the office.
He'll be all right. We're taking over the show today, but it's called Debt Free Degree. Rachel, because here's the truth. We're at nearly $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. The average family is paying back about $35,000 actually, in student loan debt. And it's taking on average, Rachel, about 20 to 25 years just to pay off loans. Yeah. Now we're just talking about the average, but just on the last segment, I heard you talking to people who had up to $500,000.
Yeah, $550,000. Yeah.
So for me, I feel so sorry for the people who have student loans now, but I want to prevent the generation that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to prevent them from even touching student loans. Because I know we have this conversation about student loan forgiveness, and that's a whole nother subject that I do not agree with. I don't believe I'm putting a Band-Aid on a wound that's going to continue bleeding and bleeding and bleeding.
Yeah.
Let's fix the issue first. And that is, let's stop taking out student loans. Let's start looking at community college. Let's start looking at trade schools, or for some, not even going to college, going straight into the workforce. Once we fix that, then we can talk about, okay, how do we help the people here? Because there are different options that myself and even Dave and even yourself will probably say, okay, maybe here and there. But before we even get there, let's help young people get a debt-free degree.
Yes. And I love it because that's the thing is it's possible. Like
It
it's
is.
different if you're like selling a bunch of like fairy tale dust. That's not
Right.
real. But like it happens. And the cool thing is I know with you traveling with your job and meeting students, and I know I meet students everywhere I go, that they're doing it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I love it. I was speaking at I don't speak at a lot of colleges anymore now that you've come on board and you've taken over that, which is great. But I was recently at a college in Texas and I got in the elevator with this girl and she said, "Hey, Rachel," she's like, "I just want to tell you, I'm graduating in May completely debt free with $4,000 of cash saved up in a savings account." And I was like, okay, you're not a unicorn. Like you are real. And this happens day in and day out. But yet, as a culture, we've believed that student loans are the only way to go to college. And it's not the truth.
I think this generation, there's two reasons. I think number one, they feel it's just normal to take out student loans. And I think some people know I don't have to take out student loans, but they're lazy. They don't want to put in the work.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and take out the student
Because
loans
it's easy
now.
to sign your name to a dotted line.
Yes, it's very
And
easy.
that's it. Yep.
But it's
Mhm.
hard to set aside an hour every single day looking up scholarships and grants.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to say, you know what, I'm not going to my dream university right now. I'm going to go to trade. Go to a community college, get the first 2 years for free. It's not attractive doing it that way, but you know what? I'm going to save a lot of money. So what's easier and more popular is to rack up debt, which is stupid in my opinion.
Yeah, so tough. We'll talk more about that subject for sure later on this hour. We'll go to the phones, and Becca from Georgia is up next. Hey, Becca, welcome to the show.
Hey, y'all. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, good. Glad you're here. I hear a southern girl on the other end. I appreciate that.
Born and
love it.
raised in Texas, but I found my way to Georgia.
Awesome. All right, what's your
So
question?
Now I live in Georgia. So I'm actually glad that Anthony's here too. My question is, should I use one of the Roundup investment apps, like Acorn, where it takes, your change, leftover change, to make it even, round it up in an investment situation?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. It's kind of become a fad, and I feel like there's more and more of these that come out, whether it's just a savings or they do it for investing purposes, all of that. So I think it's a great question.
Right.
And I would say, honestly, I'm kind of like apathetic about it. I'm kind of like, it won't, it's not going to hurt anything. But what it does is, I think, make you believe that you're saving a ton of money and that,
saving money.
That I'm doing so great, when at the end of the day, like saving 38 cents here or there, that's not going to change your life. Like what's going to change your life is getting intentional, sacrificing your lifestyle and putting the work in. And so we say here around here all the time, which is true, that personal finance, it's 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. So the behavior change has to occur, and it doesn't always occur. You don't always feel it when it's just this automatic thing as an app that's going into savings and you thinking that's the only thing. And so I'm apathetic. It's not going to hurt you, but it's not going to make a huge dent in your life. Anthony, what would you say?
Becca, let me ask you this question. Why do you want to use the app? What's the purpose?
Well, it's kind of piggybacking on what y'all were just talking about. So I have a son who was recently diagnosed with autism.
Mm-hmm.
He is 9. I have a daughter who is 10. And I got the horse before I got the cart, as they say. We had the daughter when we were in college. And so to support our lives, we got student loans.
Yeah.
Because we were in college with the kid and, all the things. And then we got married when she was 5 months old, and on our honeymoon, we got pregnant with our son. So we kind of started in turmoil, as it were, just in debt and credit cards and all the things. And now with this on top of it, my goal is, I can't say that God can't do an amazing work. However, he's not going to go traditional college route or what have you.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure that he has
what it is in place.
Sure.
And I think that's a great question. So I would say, Becca, get intentional and have that savings.
I was just about to say that. She has to get intentional, and Acorn is not going to do that enough for
That's
her.
right. That's
Get on
right.
the plan, go aggressive with it, and you'll be all right.
Yep, exactly. All right, Anthony, thanks for joining us. We'll continue on. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
One question I get asked all the time is, do I need life insurance?